Welcome back, team. After pushing the code to the repository, okay, let's go back to our diagram. This part is done. Now the time for us to set up a build pipeline. So we need to set up the build pipeline. So build pipeline setup. Now the question is, first time, I believe you guys are doing this one for the first time. It would be really interesting for you how exactly the build pipeline being set up here, okay? But you need to be very focused here, team, okay? You need to be very focused. All right. So what exactly this particular build pipeline setup, okay? Let me draw the diagram for you, okay? The first and foremost thing, as I already mentioned you, this is what your repository, right? This is what your repository. From the repository, see, if you notice one thing, the moment when you push the code to the repository on the main branch. That is being taken by default. Okay, all right. But in real time, this is not true. We will not push anything to the main branch. We will push always each and everything to the feature branch or release candidates only. But you will understand this one in our branching strategy session. Don't worry, okay? Wait for a while. Now we are going here. Now Azure repository code is already available. Now build pipeline responsibility is to pull the code to a VM. That is what exactly the thing underlying infrastructure for the build pipeline, right? This is a build pipeline. This is a build pipeline and this is the VM, okay? Now I'm just connecting this one. Yeah. Build pipeline will pull the code to the VM and it will start the build process. But whatever the things I'm saying, you need to have some task inside the build pipeline. We need to have some task. Okay. What is the first task? The first task here is, since we are using a build tool as the Maven in this particular Java project, we are using Maven build tool. Okay, Maven build tool. Now the advantage with the Maven build tool is the moment when you package your project, whatever the project is sitting here, the Maven build tool will create a folder called target. It will create a folder called target. And inside the target folder, it will create one jar file. Now our job is to refer this jar file during our release pipelines. That's all our job, exactly as a DevOps engineer. But as part of your build pipeline, this is what your task, okay? You need to build it, then you should be able to generate that particular jar file. But in Azure DevOps, few interesting things are there. The first and foremost thing, I'm just considering a task here, okay? Maven build, okay? Maven build is the common thing which we will do, but to build something with Maven, always pom.xml is your input. What is pom.xml? Now you just come back here, team. If you notice this project structure, there we are seeing one thing called pom.xml. This particular pom.xml is the one which consisting of all project required dependencies, libraries, repositories, any internal things. Each and everything will be available here. This is in case of backend Java project. If you go to the front-end project, again in front-end project, package.json is the one which is available. Again, you need to build that one. In this case, in the case of backend, we need to build pom.xml. Now the case is very clear. All the dependencies, libraries, each and everything will be there inside the pom.xml. I'm just going back. Maven build. The input for this Maven build is pom.xml. On top of the pom.xml, we are applying a command called Maven build or Maven package. Maven package is the command which we are going to apply. The advantage with the command maven package is it will package your code and it will create a target folder. Inside the target folder, it will create a jar file. That's what exactly the first task. This is your first task. Okay, once you are done with this particular thing, you know one thing in Azure DevOps, whatever the jar file is being generated, this jar file is being generated in your source code directory only. Now our aim is we need to copy this one to the staging directory. That is what our second task mark. Okay, copy to staging directory. For this one, whatever the jar file content is there, we will copy the content from source directory to stage directory. Okay, stage directory. You may get some doubt, what is source directory, what is stage directory? By default, whenever you apply the Maven build team, Maven build, a target folder will be created with the repository only. So whatever the code is available, for example, I'm just considering the folder. Under the folder, src is the source code, right? And also pom.xml. This is what simple your code today, right? Now what exactly I'm telling, the moment when you build this particular code, what it will do, in the source code itself, it will create a folder called target. Under the target folder, it will just create one jar file. This is what I'm telling you for the first activity. For the second activity, whatever the jar file is being created, all these things, whatever I mentioned, will be performed in the VM. Okay, in the VM. So whatever the jar file being created, we need to move that jar file to the staging directory. Why we need to move to the staging directory? Because if you don't move this one to the staging directory, you cannot publish. Ultimately, your goal in Azure DevOps is you need to publish the artifact. That is what your third task. Okay, publish build artifact. Okay, but how to publish the build artifact? This is the first thing. Okay, so in the source directory, now what is there in the stage directory? In the stage directory, you copied the jar file, correct? Now we are considering that particular stage directory. Copy this one, stage directory, and we are publishing that one to the publishing area. Okay, publishing area. Now we will see what exactly the publishing area. So when you publish something to the publishing area, then only your release pipelines can refer that one. That is the catch here, ma. To make sure the release pipeline to refer, you need to submit the content to the publishing area. I believe it's been taken out. Okay, let me type it one more time. So last one is the publishing. Okay, publishing artifact. Okay, so I'm just considering the stage directory /jar file. We are picking that one, we are submitting that one to the publishing area. This is what exactly we are going to do. You know, since you guys are listening this one for the first time, you guys feel a little bit confusion here. Okay, but the process is same for all the projects. You need to digest this. Okay, if you digest this one, you can handle all the projects. But this is the basic process which you need to keep in your mind. Now I'm going to prove this process for you so that you will get a very good idea. Okay.
One second. Can you please repeat one more time?
Yeah. Okay. All right, team. So what exactly we are doing in the build pipeline? Total 3 activities we are performing in the build pipeline. Activity or task number 1, we are building our project. What exactly we are building? We are building our project by using Maven build tool. When you are building the project with Maven build tool, you will pass the input as pom.xml. The pom.xml is the one which is consisting of all the libraries, dependencies, other plugins, each and everything will be there in the pom.xml. In case of backend projects, usually pom.xml or build.gradle. If it is a Gradle tool, you will refer the build.gradle. But if it is a Java project with Maven, you will use pom.xml. That's the only difference, man. That's the only difference. Followed by you packaged that one, then the jar file got created on the target folder. Now your second task is you need to copy that particular jar file to the staging directory. To copy that one, again you are using the source directory under this one only. Exactly, maybe if I copy this one, you will understand a little bit better. In the source directory you will refer the same path. Okay, under the source directory you will refer the same path. If you refer this one under source directory, this end one again I am referring as an input. Source directory / target jar file, you are copying that one to the stage directory. The next one is the publishing. Again you are referring the end one here, stage directory / jar. Again you are publishing that one to the publishing area. If you publish some artifact to the publishing area, then only release pipeline can see that. Remember that one. Then only release pipeline can refer it. That is why we need to perform last two tasks for sure. Thank you for the session. See you in the next part.